Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. And welcome to week 4 edition of the College Football Stock Report. We've been dropping this show each and every week. The last 3 weeks, I'm going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co host, and we're going to give you 4 players in college football who are exceeding expectations and 4 players that are not actually living up to the billing, right? You play Devy and C2C, you're going to love these shows. It's a stock report on our favorite Devy players. If you play Dynasty out there, this show's great because it's going to give you an early look at some of the future players that you're going to be drafting in your rookie draft. So either way, guys, hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. Got a ton of Devy, C2C, NFL draft, rookie content on this channel, highlight films, mock drafts, all sorts of great stuff. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get to our Devy stock report for week 4. I'm going to kick us off, and I'm going to talk about Pittsburgh quarterback Eli Holstein. All right. He was an Alabama recruit. He was talked up before the Pittsburgh game. He's Pittsburgh quarterback, 6'4", 225 pounds. Through 4 games, he has over 1,000 yards, 12 TDs, 2 interceptions. He was getting talked up a little bit pregame by Nick Saban, who recruited the kid and said that he is going to be a player and won't be surprised at all if Eli Holstein becomes a NFL caliber quarterback playing for the next few years in Pittsburgh. So I cut up his film. It was against Youngstown State. Again, not the best competition, but what did we see when we were watching him? And as I was cutting up the film, it is on the YouTube channel if you want to go take a look. Again, this is more of a deeper stash Devy riser, right? But man, I'll tell you, C2C, he's been killing it. I had him in my lineup in 2 of my leagues. But what do I like about this guy? Is a true dual threat quarterback. I mean, he has got the arm, I think, to make all the throws on the field, but he's got rushing upside. I mean, he rushed for like 60 yards on this one scrambling upfield and taking on tacklers and I think he ran in a touchdown as well. But I came away pretty impressed. Again, he's only played 4 games. This is his first time starting this year. And again, he looked poised. His maneuverability in the pocket, I thought, was really good. He stepped up many times, always keeping his eyes downfield. But I don't know, Jason, I suggest, again, this is a guy that might be a good C2C waiver ad if he's not picked up. I mean, I picked him up actually last year. When you're in your 14th, 15th round of your C2C supplemental drafts, you're just taking Alabama quarterbacks and stuff like that. I think he was ranked like 7th and 8th in the 2024 quarterback class. But here you go. He transfers, gets a new opportunity. So keep your eye on Eli Holstein. I think early in his career, but good foundation of skills I saw when cutting up his film.
I'm honestly really glad to see him coming on because when he was first coming out as a recruit, I want to say that he had like one of the highest spark ratings I had seen in a long time, athleticism wise. So you add that to a 6'4", 225-pound frame, and we're talking about a fantasy asset. So that would be awesome to see him really start developing and coming on as an NFL prospect. So that's a good call. I'm gonna move over to Miami, and I'm gonna go with a true freshman running back, Jordan Lyle, who just continually just keeps increasing his stat lines and productivity and opportunity every single week in this Miami Hurricanes offense. Now, obviously, they are, beating out some of the competition by a little bit, so they're putting him in and giving him some run. But he went from 18 yards in week 1 to 40 yards, 71 yards, and then this past weekend against USF, he had 104 yards rushing with a rushing touchdown. So he's got 3 touchdowns on the season already. This is a kid who's a bit undersized, 6 foot, 190 pounds, but as a true freshman, I can absolutely see that frame getting another 10 to 15 pounds on him, which would be great. He's an explosive playmaker. He's got good instinct. So Jordan Lyle to me is a guy to definitely keep on our radar because once, Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher move on, and even if Mark Fletcher is still there, I think Lyle can definitely have an opportunity in this offense because he's already got with both of them there. So Lyle's definitely going to be a stock up in Devy for me.
Yeah, Miami definitely rotates running backs, so that's
right.
I think he's going to get a lot of run this year.
Second
guy I want to talk about. I talked to him about last week as my deep dive player, and I just have to bring him up again in the college football stock report here. Is Harold Fannon Jr., tight end. Bowling Green, I think he comes from, but he was named MAC Offensive Player of the Week. Now, I talked about him last week because he played Penn State. And this guy popped for 137 yards on 11 receptions for a touchdown against Penn State. So we talked about him last week. All right. He could be a
Mhm.
2025 NFL draft potential, tight end draft pick. However, this is his true junior year. So I'm assuming he's going to go back and he's going to be a 2026 tight end, unless he just continues to blow up. This past week, he goes to Texas A&M, an SEC defense, and gets 8 targets for 145 yards and another touchdown. And he had a long, like 60-yard down the right sideline catch. But that wasn't the most impressive part. It was a nice adjustment to make the catch. But what he did after the catch was what was most impressive to me. It was when he was just juking out DBs and making guys miss and rumbles and tumbles down to the end zone. And his blocking ability, watching some highlights of the game as well, and as well as Penn State, the guy gives a really good effort in the blocking game. But I don't know, man, I came away impressed. This guy is just navigating in the second level, just with fluidity that was really impressive. And I really liked what I saw. So again, he could be out there on your C2C waivers. I'm not sure. But Harold Fannon Jr. is just killing it. And he's a true junior. So he's just getting more time, more experience. But he's somebody that I'm going to be keeping my eye on moving forward.
I think this was a great call. You brought him up last week. I got a chance to watch this film, and I completely agree. I mean, I do see an NFL potential prospect here. I mean, the way he moves, the way he blocks, it's all there. I think just the level of competition is just going to throw us off from reading how good he could actually be. But I love this call. I think it's great. I'm going to move over to Kentucky, and you're probably thinking, well, geez, who won Kentucky? I'm going to go with Dankey Key, man. I keep bringing Dankey Key up when we talk
Yeah.
about Kentucky and Barry and Brown and the limitations that they have, with the quarterback position. But Dankey Key just continually just shows out, even though the box score won't show it. As I watch the routes and I watch what he does, he continually gets separation. He understands exactly how to maneuver defenders with his eyes and his body gestures. And I love the size speed combination. He's highly competitive in contested catch situations. And this past weekend against Ohio, he went for 7 and 145. So the potential is absolutely there. I just think that Dankey doesn't get the respect that he deserves, and rightfully so. It's hard to keep an eye on a team that's not really producing, especially with its receivers. But Dankey's been producing for a while, just not at the high mark that we want to see. But Dankey to me is definitely a stock up in Devy, because I absolutely see an NFL prospect in him.
Yeah, I like his size too, 6'2", I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And he
And he's
does.
got
I
good
mean,
length.
yeah, he's got really good leg. That's exactly what I was going to say. So yeah, and he's probably most likely a player who's going to come back for his senior year. He's a true
I
junior
think
right
so.
now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So I think he belongs here in more of the Devy stock report than the NFL. All right,
Yeah, I
there
agree.
you guys go. There's our 4 stock up players. So now we want to talk about 4 players who are disappointing just a little bit. Again, that doesn't mean we're off these players. We're just saying, like, from where we went into the season expecting their value, they just have not lived up to the hype. And I'm going to talk about Clemson running back David Zumeme. I think that's how you say his name. I am terrible with names, if you don't know that by now.
That's a tough one, man.
It really is a tough one.
Yeah.
And, I guess the reason I have him for my stock down this week is only because, Clemson has had a couple blowout games. And this past game, I was really hoping to see more of him. Now, I was
Yeah.
not into David. And you and I, when we did our top 10 incoming freshman running backs, I don't think either of us had this guy in our top 10.
I did. I think I had him 8 or 9. You did not.
I did not. So
You didn't. No.
he's just one of these bigger backs, and I think he's a converted into the running back position. So again, this is a value game with Devy right now. This is something with Phil
Mhm.
Maffa goes, is this guy going to emerge next year? That's what you're going to have to ask yourself. So
Mhm.
again, just when I saw the stat line of Clemson, I was like, oh, I wonder if we're going to see David, get some run. He really didn't get some run. He is a freshman, so you have to temper your expectations. But again, a guy that I thought maybe would pop a little bit early in the season through week 4 and at least get a little bit of run, thinking that Phil Maffa was really the only running back as far as in the Devy space anyway, that people were really talking about. So he was my stock down player this week.
That's a shame, because honestly, in a game like that where they had numerous running backs and it wasn't him,
Yeah.
obvious stock down. I'm going to go with an obvious one for my stock down. That's going to be Jackson Arnold, Oklahoma quarterback. It's not good after just a few weeks into the season that he's getting benched for a true freshman because they're trying to find a way to win, and they did not trust him to be able to do it. And unfortunately, this doesn't look very well because even if he does start again, the issue I had was, his mental processing is not fast with an offensive line that's still trying to find chemistry, and that is not going to go well for someone who needs to develop quicker as a mental processor, going through his progressions and trusting the timing of his receivers. And that's not what we're seeing from him. He made a really bad erratic throw for an interception, and we saw some of the terrible reads that he was making on the decisions of his throws. He's not throwing his receivers open. So right now, Jackson Arnold's an obvious stock down. I hope things change. I really do. But it's just hard to see it in the future because I don't think anything is going to change with this offensive line or the situation. But time will tell.
Yeah, it's a delicate situation because you can really ruin someone's confidence. Now,
Absolutely.
I
And
mean,
it looks like that's happening,
did
unfortunately.
they say he was going to start week 5, or is it
I
still
haven't
like
heard anything, but
yeah?
this team loves Michael Hawkins Jr., so that's why I wouldn't be surprised if it's him moving forward.
Wow, very interesting. Wow, that's
Yeah,
going to be a breaker to a lot of Devy hearts out there. So,
mine too.
yeah, then my second stock down player pains me, but I was expecting Nick Anderson to come back to life early in this season. He had an offseason injury. He hasn't been able to get on the field. So I just don't think that he's going to be a 2025 wide receiver prospect, given the fact that he can't get on the field this year. So, but last year, man, he had 725 yards, 9 TDs, really popped for me on film. I've been higher on him than probably most people. So it pains me to have him stock down, but I got to be realistic and see that he just can't get on the field. I think he's nicked up a little bit still. So I just don't think he's going to have enough on tape this year and he just hasn't had enough experience in college to even be considered a 2025 wide receiver prospect. So that's why he is a stock down player for me. I still have many shares, drafted him early in my C2C supplemental drafts when he wasn't drafted last year because he kind of popped last year. So I've not lost hope on him, but because he can't get on the field, he was my second stock down player.
He had really good film last year. I'm hoping that once he gets on the field, we just see the same thing and more from him as he continues to develop. But yeah, he's unfortunately definitely a stock down. And I'm going to go with a heartbreaker myself of a guy I absolutely love, and that's going to be Jaden Greathouse. And it's not even necessarily anything that he's doing, but this offense and how Riley Leonard's using more of his legs than he is his arm, which has always been my concern with Riley Leonard, is not providing a lot of opportunities for these receivers. And that includes Jaden Greathouse. So unfortunately for Jaden Greathouse, the production profile just isn't going to be there. They're also using him as a blocker, just like they did last year, getting this run game going. So it's the utilization of Jaden Greathouse, I think, that's really going to kind of limit his upside and potential as a prospect at the next level. I still believe in the skill set, but he's got to be able to put it on the field as well. And unfortunately, we haven't seen it. So Jaden Greathouse is unfortunately a stock down.
Yeah, I know that pains your heart, my good friend.
You have no idea. It's almost like you with Nick Anderson right now. It's like,
it's
what's
very much
happening,
the
man?
same. Well, there are guys, right? I mean, we kind of like what we
Right,
saw, and we kind of say,
exactly.
yeah, these are our guys, and we hope to see them. We have lots of shares, most likely. So,
Yeah.
all right, there you guys go. That is our college week 4 stock report.